right, so drum industry news in this segment, we are going to shed some light on facets of the drum retail industry that folks may not be aware of. This is where
I might not be aware of this either.
you're aware of it. You're definitely aware of this week's topic. And this week's topic is coming to us because this is what I'm losing sleep over currently. It is buy-in season. So for those of you that might not be familiar with the retail side of things, I know this is common in other industries as well as far as retail stores. The beginning of the year is kind of when you re-up with a lot of your dealers and distributors and commit to making an initial purchase typically. And then what is becoming more and more regular is committing to, by the end of the year, you're also going to spend this amount of money.
Sure.
So hypothetical situation, drum company comes to us and says, hey, you got to spend, $4 right now with us. You have to give us $4 before the end of March. And then they say, but by the end of the year, in order for us to give you discounts all year so that you can make money, you have to spend at least $12. So we'll give us 4 now, spend at least 12. That kind of thing.
Yep.
So for this reason, I think that this is we'll dig into details here in a second, but I think I wanted to bring this up to let everyone know, if you're looking for the best selection of drums and drum equipment, or music stores in general, I can speak to that. February, March, April, May, that is when essentially most of these drum shops and music stores are going to be front loaded with stuff.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
It all hits at the same time.
It all usually hits at the same time. So within that time period, if you are unsure of specifically what you're looking for and want to hear a bunch of drums, even if you're not planning on buying anything until later in the year, or ask for it for Christmas, who knows? You can go and test out a lot of different gear. You can see more selection than you normally would have. But the buy-in season, first quarter, I explained the process a little bit.
Spend 4.
Yeah.
Spend 12 over the long haul.
Exactly. So it is, but these requirements and restrictions that we are having is ramping up. So I want to get your take on how things have changed, because you've been doing this for longer than I have, and you've seen how the requirements of certain companies, and full disclosure, not every company requires this,
right,
but the big names do.
Yeah,
every one of them has their own policy.
And it becomes a little stressful because the buy-ins are all at the same time. So every company comes out and says, hey, you have to make this commitment. You have to, do your big, huge buy-in, and sometimes you have to pick and choose a little bit because, you have to spread the money out evenly and into the best, companies that produce the most. You have to realize that, like, okay, a big company like Pearl, produces sales, produces, revenue and such, and you have to just pick and choose.
Right, and considering different companies and different things like that. Pearl's not only making drum sets, we have a whole selection, a whole wall full of their parts and accessories, repair-oriented things.
It's a proven commodity.
Exactly. Things from tension rods to washers, the whole way up to like the kits themselves, that kind of thing. It's important for a pro drum shop to have a couple core companies where they stock, you know what I mean? Not only the drums, but the replacement parts and that sort of thing. But when you consider the fact that a drum shop our size, we've got over 40 dealers, 40 different places that we get stuff from.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Not saying everyone requires a buy-in, but when you start to break things down and saying, like, yeah, sure, I understand, like, this company wants us to buy, 5 drum sets at the beginning and commit to buying 10 by the end of the year, like, if that was, just for an example. You're like, okay, sounds good. But when you've got 7 companies, 7 drum manufacturers that are all saying the same thing, that's brutal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And forget what you did last year too. It's like
that's true. That's true. There's January.
That should
1st,
account to for something. I think.
I agree. That typically that doesn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't with 90. I would say 90% of these companies is, okay, would you like to sell our stuff again this year? Okay, then we're starting from zero.
Sure.
And here's the buy-in, which has gone up since last year.
And it used to mean something too, that you were a dealer, you were an exclusive dealer, and now a lot of the companies are, allowing customers to buy direct in some cases. Some cases not so direct, but indirectly they're buying directly from the company. You go right
Right.
on the company's website and buy from them. It's not always directly from them. Those orders are allocated to other music stores and other drum shops and things like that. But if no one fills those orders, then that company gets the order. So directly, the customer is buying directly from the manufacturer. So what's the point
Right.
of having a store to go to check out the gear? That's very important.
Yeah, it's huge to go into a store, be able to hear it with your own ears, not through some processed mic in a perfect studio scenario that some drum shops have to record something. It's one of those things where you need to go physically interact with the object, especially if you get into the percussion side of things. Listening to something in a demo is great. It'll guide you in the right direction generally, but you have to be able to hear what it sounds like when you are interacting with it, when you're playing it.
So, we do a lot for the drum companies that kind of goes a little unnoticed, and no one talks about that. And that is, we give a place for the consumer to come and check out the gear. Everything's, a lot of people buy online, but it's kind of come around again where now these stores, there's not as many music stores as there once was.
Right.
And now folks are that are happy to buy online, all the time. Well, if you want to try out a snare drum or a double pedal somewhere, it's getting harder and harder to find a spot to do that. So it's very important to be able to go to a music store, and the companies, I believe, the big corporations have to realize that we're very important to have, and they shouldn't make the requirements so tough on us. And that's really what I'm getting at, is that the requirements are really tough. We're advocating them. They should advocate for us a little bit more than the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely understand that, and it's obviously we've been dealing with this for years, and it's one of those things where it can be a little bit frustrating. This is not a rant to complain about these companies. It's all good. We need drums to sell,
Sure.
right? But just this relationship between the small business, I know you hate when I say that, but the drum shops, the local drum shops, and the companies, that tether is beginning to, it's just fading a little bit.
Sure.
I feel this pull away, and that's not good for us, but more importantly, it's not good for customers that want to try stuff out. You know what I mean?
Becoming harder and harder to be a viable dealer and to compete with the huge, big, huge money box stores that don't have a retail, presence.
Yeah.
That they do strictly online. You can't go to their store to check out a snare drum, check out a double pedal, or check out the gear, or get in-store tech support.
Of course. And
so
to just get
I just wish it was a little bit easier for a company like us that we've been around since 1985. We have a proven track record, and I just think that sometimes the requirements are just way over the top.
And disregarding that and just moving forward, being like, well, now here's the new deal, and be like, did none of this matter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's like this relationship where it's like,
what
up until December, man.
Yeah.
It is going both ways. We're communicating.
Yeah.
You're selling us stuff. We're selling the stuff. We're ordering more in. Like we're best friends.
We just have to.
We're best friends, right?
We have to renew our vows every year.
I know. January 1st, it's like, well, I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I think you need to do more in this relationship.
Exactly.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
We just had
We're selling your drums.
We just had a record December, man. We just sold more of your drums than you know what I mean. So it is kind of a funny relationship thing. I'm going to take this one step further, dig in just a little bit further for those nerds that are interested in this, or maybe one day want to have their own shop, or for whatever reason they want to know like one step further. I talked about us and the drum manufacturers and just companies in general. There's distributors involved and everything, but us and who we buy it from, that relationship kind of being a little bit more strained than it used to be. for the local drum shop, right? Not the mega brands, the local drum shop. And something that's new within the last couple of years is, in addition to these buy-ins that we've talked about, there are tiers. There are tiers of buy-ins. Meaning, if you go into a drum shop and they've got an entry-level kit by a particular brand, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can get the pro-level kit or the touring level kit,
Sure.
the pro-level kit, or the custom high-end level kit. They've now segmented themselves sometimes into 3-4 different brackets.
Yeah.
Right? Which is mind-boggling to me.
And that's kind of a new thing as far as I know.
Yeah.
That I've seen across the board. They never used to do that.
Yeah, and I think that this one is something where it's kind of crossed the line. It's going to come back to bite them. But essentially, what that means is the guys who, I might say guys, the companies who, especially like big online giants, like we're talking about, right? They're going to spend that much money anyway, so they already qualify for the highest tier. It's doing nothing but disqualifying smaller drum shops or drum shops who might lean into another brand a little bit more this year, a little bit more this year. You know, these drum shops that you have had relationships with 30
You're
years or whatever.
Like putting handcuffs on us. In a weird
it is
way.
a little bit.
Like,
it is a little bit tough. It's because the part that bothers me is it's not affecting the big spenders, right? It's not affecting the online giants. They're qualifying for the highest thing anyway.
Sure.
It's just punishing us and making it so that we can't even compete with that. You know what I mean? Right. So the fact that you can walk into a drum shop and say, I want to custom order this special kit, and they might not be able to get it because they didn't qualify for a certain threshold of money, let alone qualify to be a dealer in general. Don't like that.
Yeah. And I'm, thinking about the different, buy-in programs that I've seen over the years, and that seems to be a new trend that has, kind of crept up over the past few years. Buy-in requirements were, a lot easier, I'd say 10, 15 years ago, where it's like, okay, you have to purchase these certain things here, this and this, and then a certain amount. And it was kind of easy. Now it's like, okay, well, hardware is a whole different thing. You have to buy 18 pieces of hardware to lock in for an extra discount for the year. Oh, and if you want to sell, these particular snare drums, that's a whole different buy-in from there. Yeah, you have to buy 3-4 of those, and then you have to maintain a stock of 3 or 4 of those. The rules are just out of control.
And also we're making bags. That's great. Oh, you're making bags. That's awesome. We'll start getting it. Oh, but you can't get those.
You can't get the bags
unless that's a different buy.
Yeah, it's a different buy.
And then we started making sticks last year.
Oh,
we started making sticks. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But you have to do this, and because we just launched it, the minimum buy-in is higher than we normally would like it. Right. But that you understand.
Yeah, I understand.
I think folks get the idea.
Yeah, but those are the things that maybe the regular everyday person doesn't see. That we say, oh, you don't carry those particular sticks? Can you order them? Oh, you don't carry that brand? Yeah, we carry the brand. Oh, but you can't get the sticks? No, they're a whole different. Right. It's a whole different ball game.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be. It should be. I like your product. I would like to sell it. Yeah. They can look at us, look at our qualifications, look at our track record, look at the other companies we deal with. I understand that background check that they do. That kind of thing. Absolutely.
I understand buy-ins. Of course, you can't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry, selling Pearl drums. There has to be some type of requirement. So I understand all of that completely. But there are a lot of unnecessary rules that go along with that make it more difficult for a smaller drum shop.
Yeah, it's true. Cool. Well, I hope that gives you guys a little peek behind the curtain with the kind of things that we're dealing with and shuffling behind the scenes. And it's all just to provide our customers with what they want, really, is what it comes down to. We're huge with feedback. There are, I can think of like 5 or 6 products that we've started to stock and carry based on literal people messaging me on social. People sending me messages saying, hey, have you ever heard of this? Someone bringing something in they got somewhere else or got as a gift.
I know.
Like, we want to stock the stuff that you want.
I've
so
been doing this a long time.
So
I am not in any way a know-it-all. I love when someone comes to me and says, hey, I'd like to check this out. I'll write down what they want, and I'll say, let me try to get this in for you, because I believe that that's a good relationship to have. Like I said earlier, it's great for a customer to be able to come to a place and try it out, test it out. That's why drum stores, music shops are so very important for the community, for musicians, and you need a place to try the gear. You need a place.
Yeah.
You can't just buy it online all the time, even though we sell online.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
part of it. But it's
Of
so
course.
very important to be able to go to a place and buy it locally.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm huge. I mean, I'm ending the show every time with support your local drum shop.
Right.
If you don't have one, we'll adopt you. Fine. I understand that there's not
Yeah.
an awesome
Right,
local drum
yeah.
shop everywhere. So we
Yeah.
can chip you your stuff or whatever. If you want to support us, we'll gladly accept and we appreciate it. But supporting your local drum shop helps them get over those thresholds like these buy-ins.
Right.
If you're looking to special order a kit, call them in January and say, hey, I'm getting a kit this year. They might be able to finagle something and get it in earlier for you, set it aside for you. It's a
great.
two-way relationship. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. That whole saying, it's really more than that, though. It is a relationship between your local community and a small business, and that transcends the music industry. But yeah, fantastic, awesome. Just a little peek behind the curtain there. All right, I think we jump into our next section, Hall of Fame.